first-set tiebreaker. We will update their story when we continue. Can come smoking out of here. The winner will play the winner of the Tim Mayotte Mats Wilander match. Now that will be played a little bit later tonight. And of course right down there in the bottom is the runner-up Yvonne Lendl, and he will come stocking them both before this is over. Now let's take you right away to the first set tiebreaker. There is Cash on the left and Holmes on the right.
Good, tough volley there by Cash. This kid can really play all-court tennis, Brent. He's a good volleyer. He's got a good serve. And Greg Holmes right here hanging in there. He had 2 set points earlier in the first set. He was serving at 5-4, had 2 set points to win. Now he's in a tiebreak. I'm sure he's kicking himself. Close to the sideline.
Cash is 19 years old. Holmes 21. Both have played extremely well here at the U.S. Open, although Cash is recognized around the world as a grass specialist, Barry.
Well, he got to the semifinals at Wimbledon, Brent, which is a big effort. McEnroe beat him there in the semifinals, but he can play. He loves to serve and volley. We're at 1-1 in the tiebreak. Big serve down the middle by Craig Holmes. Every point in the tiebreak, Brent, really crucial. Pat Cash on the left there is the guy that the Australians are hoping is going to bring that country back into prominence. I think he's a combination between Lou Hode, a great player from the past, and Kenny Rosewall, who are both great Australian players. He's built like Hode, but he plays like Rosewall.
Built like a football player.
Looks like a halfback, doesn't he? Called out there. You see the center service linesman right down the center of that line. That's a tough call to make. Good spin on that second serve. Holmes comes in with a good forcing shot and goes to a 3-1 lead. Greg Holmes really jumps into the ball, Brent. He plays his ground strokes very unorthodox. He'll get off the ground and really hit into the ball. Holmes lead. Cash now pressing a little bit. You get down 3-1 in a tiebreaker, there's a temptation to go for that big first serve. Good deep second serve, Brent. He spun that ball in deep and brought an error from Holmes. That was a big point. He could have been down 4-1. Greg Holmes taking lots of time, tallying off. He likes this area. He played very well last year in the U.S. Open, and I think when he gets to this tennis center, something happens to his game. That happens to a lot of players. A lot of players like a certain area.
6-1 was his record on this surface here, and of course he upset Aaron Krickstein. We should point out about Holmes, he has been to a 5th set tiebreaker. Krickstein took him 4 sets. Cash has not lost a set yet here at the Open.
Called out.
4-2 Holmes.
Good approach there by Greg Holmes. He just waited till the last minute, Brent. Came down the line. The players will now change sides. Tiebreaker, 6 points played on one side. And technically, those players are supposed to not stop at all. You see Pat Cash on the left over there making a brief pit stop. But the rules say there shall be no break in play between the 6th and 7th point. Every point so crucial in a tiebreaker. It's just a different atmosphere completely, Brent, than when you're playing a normal game. You can always get to deuce and relax a little bit. Here, there are no deuces. line shot by Pat Cash. That was a tough serve, Brent. Deep serve. He took the second serve, came in down the line, and hit a real firm forehand volley cross court. He has a lot of strength in those arms. That's why I mentioned Lou Hode earlier. Lou Hode used to play the game with really just one big, large right forearm. That's how he played the whole game of tennis. And there you see Cash's strength in those forearms.
He was wild in his youth, as they say, but he seems to have matured somewhat here.
And he's had a reputation for really getting real unhappy during a match. A little temper, but it's called out. That linesman calling that ball from way on the other side. Deep second serve. Oh, beautiful overhead. Cash got back very quickly on that ball. It was not a bad lob.
4-all.
And we're at 4-all. Cash a little nervous there. I think he's looking for some tennis balls. I always used to like to get the balls in a hurry, Brent, in a tight situation and get the points going. Sometimes you have a tendency to rush a little bit when you're in a tiebreaker. Holmes actually playing a lot slower right now than Cash. Ooh, just over.
5-4 Cash.
Very close ball on the baseline there. It's good second serve, though, Brent. Cash hit that ball right into the body of Greg Holmes. Kind of jammed him. Greg Holmes lining up, taking a lot of extra time on the serve here. You see him bouncing that ball, trying to get the weight moving. He jumps at the serve a little too, Brent. You can see him get off the ground here as he moves into this second serve. There's that two-hander. Both sides. It's out. And Holmes brings it even at 5-all. This is tight, I'm telling you. When you're up that much in the first set, though, and then all of a sudden you're in a tiebreaker, it's like you're very frustrated because you're thinking back on the set and saying, why on earth am I out here playing a tiebreaker? I should have won that first set 6-4. Maybe that's what he's saying right there. All right, 5-all. Holmes a little bit like a McEnroe line up there. You see him perpendicular to the baseline. He's kind of a right-handed McEnroe serving. Doesn't have the variety, though, that John McEnroe has on the serve. Good play. Wonderful play by Cash there. That was not an easy second serve. And he has that shot down very well. Takes the forehand, moves in down the line, and then opens the court up and puts the volley away. Time to slow down a little bit here. It's set point. Now you see Holmes leaving a lot of room on that forehand side. Down the middle is where Cash could serve an ace right here if he got a good first serve. He tried it. Ooh,
Just over. And Pat Cash has won the first set here against a disappointed Greg Holmes, who had 2 set points. Let it get away. When we come back, we'll pick up the action live in the second set.
Stadium, Pat Cash against Greg Holmes in the second set. This is Holmes serving. We are now live. Cash at the bottom of your picture, Holmes up top.
Advantage.
Set point for Cash coming up. He leads 5-3, second set.
Second set, Cash,
The
6-3.
second set goes to Pat Cash. He won the first 7-6, tiebreaker, 6-3 in the second. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall along with John Newcomb. We're watching a rising young Australian star, and of course John was an Australian star, still is in many people's eyes, against Greg Holmes, who is the NCAA champion of last year. He is unusual in the fact that he does not have a backhand, really. He hits with both hands from both sides. So, John, how do you see the match so far?
Well, what you saw in the tiebreak and what you saw in the last few points there is what has been happening throughout the match. Pat Cash is just a little stronger than Greg Holmes. Holmes, very unlucky, actually. 40-15 in the first set, serving at 5-4. He could have won the first set. Cash, well, I guess you can say it's not luck, it's good play. He hit a winner down the line on return of serve and got out of that tight position, came back from a behind position in the tiebreak in the first set as we just sort of win it. And now in this second set, he started to exercise a little bit of the authority that I felt he would have. He's a better volleyer, and he's a little stronger than Holmes is.
Holmes, basically a baseline player. How is Pat Cash regarded in Australia, John?
Very highly. You know, Pat's only just turned 19 years of age, and everybody has been waiting so long for another Australian champion to come along that perhaps our expectations are sometimes a little more than they should be.
Quiet, please.
Ready to pick up the action in the third set as soon as the crowd settles down. In the stadium over in the grandstand, number 2 seed Yvonne Lendl is playing Anders Jared.
Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen.
This has been a very tightly, closely contested match between Cash and Holmes. When Holmes has to stretch out, he'll go with one hand on the racket, but if it's in his alley, down the power alley, he goes both hands, both sides. There was some rain in the forecast, but so far it's held off and it's a delightful day. Very humid, but not bad at all. That's why.
15 love.
Holmes went to the University of Utah. He's from California. And many say Greg Holmes is the best young player to come out of college since John McEnroe. They have never played before.
30 love.
Cash was the #1 junior in the world 2 years ago. He won this junior championship here and also junior Wimbledon. And almost everything that's been asked of him in the last 3 years, he has performed. Can't do much more than that.
I don't see many weaknesses in that game either.
40 love.
Very quick around the court.
He's been gradually improved his serve over the last 2 years, and one of his greatest assets is court speed. He was a very good athlete when he was at school. Good runner. Can jump extremely high at the net.
Game, Cash.
Game
he
to
wins
Cash.
First game,
And
third
he wins
set.
the first game of the third set. He won the first 2 sets.
The #2 seed, Yvonne Lendl, in the near court, has won the first set against Sweden's Anders Jared, who was seeded 14th here, 6-2, and is serving at love 1 second set. I'm Tony Trabert, and with me is Virginia Wade. Virginia, your views so far?
Well, Anders is trying exactly the right thing. He's very quick on his feet. He's hitting the ball early, and he's trying to come in as much as he possibly can. But, you know, Lendl is just so good that at the moment Lendl's game is just overpowering him. He'll get to the net, but Lendl will put so much pace on the ball that he actually can't put away the volley even if he's in position.
We're just going to show you a couple points of this match at this time, then go back to the stadium, and we'll be back from this match a little bit later. Lendl with a big serve.
15 love.
Lendl got an early service break to lead 2-1 in the first set, broke again for a 5-2 lead, and held serve for the 6-2 set. That's Anders Jared, 23 years of age, from Sweden.
30 love.
And Lendl's having a very good day on his serve. He's already served about 4 aces. He particularly favors that one straight down the tee in the middle of the court.
Let. For serve.
Never seen a top class player toss the ball on a serve or lift the ball up as high as Lendl does, but he's a very good server. I think Yard flagged one that time, Virginia. Looked like it was going out.
But that's exactly what has been happening. Anders comes in and an excellent shot, but Lendl just puts so much power that it's very hard with that spin and power to do anything with the volley, even if you have it on your racket.
So Ivan Lendl gets even at 1 game apiece, and now let's go back to Pat Summerall in the stadium.
Okay, Tony, the situation here in the third set is 1-1. And this is Pat Cash about to serve. He has won the first 2 sets.
People who enjoy watching tennis on television ought to get used to the name Pat Cash, because I think you're going to be having a lot of chances to see him over the next 10 years. Only 19 years of age. Already Australia won the Davis Cup last year, and Pat was our #1 singles player.
Is he the best player in Australia now?
He's the #1 player in Australia, yeah. With Paul McNamee, they got to the final of the Wimbledon doubles, lost to McEnroe and Fleming in 5 sets. And in a couple of weeks' time, young man Pat Cash is going to be battling against McEnroe and Connors in the Davis Cup semi-finals between Australia and the United States in Portland.
He has certainly played well here so far.
30-15.
He figures to do well on this surface.
He's got a good temperament, Cash, for tennis. He believes in himself, and not in a conceited way, in a very self-confident way, which is important. If you want to become a champion, you have to have a lot of confidence in your own ability.
He looks that way by the way he walks. Not many elements missing.
40-15.
Holmes at the other end of the court, because he has 2 hands on both sides, and when you're playing against someone like that, the best tactic is to pressure them all the time and try and move them wide on the court to stretch them out.
Just can't reach quite as far with both hands on the racket.
Cash, he
Game to
leads
Cash. Well served.
2-1.
He leads 2-1 in the third set. Pat Summerall, John Newcomb in the stadium at the National Tennis Center. Greg Holmes, last year's NCAA champion, serving to Pat Cash. Too good.
Oh, that's a good shot. He took that early. Wasn't a bad approach shot,
50.
reasonably deep. Instead of moving onto the back foot, Cash just stepped forward into it, almost half volleyed it. That's a great shot.
Good serve.
15.
Holmes had a chance to win the first set. Let it slip away. Cash won it in a tiebreaker. Then he won the second set 6-3.
It was a year ago on this court where
15.
Greg Holmes took everybody by surprise when he played Vilas and just beat him easily in 3 straight sets. A little bit of the court coverage there, Pat, of Pat Cash, and show you his speed. Although he's very heavy in the legs, very solid legs, he's extremely quick around the court. Greg Holmes is currently ranked 78th in the world. He's moved that up a little bit from last year, where he was only 147. super shot. Pat Cash seeded 15 here in this tournament. His current world ranking is 18.
Right now, let's go to court 16, and here's Brent Musburger.
Pat, we have a match game right now. This is Claudia Cody-Kill. She is down to Wendy Turnbull-Barry. You can get everybody up to date here.
It's 15:30. There it is. Now it's 15:40. We're at match point, Brent. Wendy won the first set, 6-3. She's leading 5-1, and the score right now is 15:40, double match point. Wendy Turnbull, lower right-hand part of your screen.
Wendy, of course, the 31-year-old veteran out of Australia. Claudia is from Saarbrücken, West Germany.
Boy, talk about tight point.
Hanging on where that was.
I think Wendy was trying to bring that ball over the service line there. There it is, double fault. Game, set, and match to Wendy Turnbull, 6-3, 6-1.
So next for Wendy will be Pam Shriver, who earlier today, she advanced when, of course, Mascaron had to default. Now we've got action back in the stadium, and here's Pat again.
And this is Greg Holmes with his back to you. Pat Cash at the other end. Another illustration of what John Newcomb was talking about. Pat Cash has great athletic ability.
Dears.
It puts a lot of pressure on an opponent if you're able to come to the net and you can jump very high, reach wide for you to cover the passing shots. A little bit of desperation can get into the opponent's game where they try to do a little bit too much with their passing shots and causes them to make mistakes.
Advantage.
I'll say, Newt, we've been watching this match since the very beginning, just after 11 o'clock this morning. There have been no complaints about line calls. They've been both models of deportment. Cash leads 3-1. Third set.
And as this match goes on, we can see Holmes looking for something extra, looking for that extra bit, but as I mentioned a while ago, perhaps just Cash a bit more powerful, a little stronger.
A few more weapons.
And a few more weapons too, especially when he's able, when he can get to the net.
He leads 3-1.
Love.
He has shown, as this match has progressed also, the ability to change up on his first serve. He doesn't try to pound everything as hard as he can. Spin one once in a while.
Well, if Cash were to win this match, he possibility of playing Mats Wilander in the quarterfinal. If Wilander can beat Tim Mayotte tonight, Cash beat Wilander at Wimbledon.
Would think that Mayotte could be tough at night. That big service. Don't forget, coming up here in the stadium, Navratilova, the #1 seed, against Barbara Potter, hard-serving left-hander. And after that, it'll be Andres Gomez against Vitas Gerulaitis.
You got a winner to pick for that one?
Do I?
Yeah.
I'll pick Gomez.
I'll keep quiet.
Okay. Cash now leads 4 games to 1. And we'll be back with more tennis action after this word from your local station. 15th seeded Pat Cash, now seemingly in control of the match against Greg Holmes. He leads 4-1 in the third set after having won the first 2 sets.
Pretty good drive from the back of the court.
15 love.
No angle to work with. He was hitting it from the middle of the court, and he found an angle. It's a great shot.
All.
One for Holmes there. Court open.
All.
Down 4-1 in the third set. 2 sets to love. Chance to go ahead 40-15. That's a bad error.
30-all.
Now he's got to work to hold his serve. If he loses this game, it's just about good night.
30.
Suddenly got away, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a good return from Cash because it was a very good serve. Well hit from Holmes, and Cash took it inside the baseline early. Again took it early.
Dish.
That's good pressure tennis there. Taking the first serve early, getting a good return.
For a report, let's go to the grandstand and Tony Traber.
Well, Pat, we've had a little bit of an accident off the court. Apparently a lady fell down. They're assisting her out now, and play has been temporarily suspended with Yvonne Lendl leading 3-2 in the second set with a service break. We certainly hope it was not serious for that young lady. People are streaming in here to watch this match between the number 2 seed Lendl against Anders Jarrett, who is seated 14th. So Lendl has changed into a dry shirt. The players just waiting by the side of the court. Now let's go back to Pat in the stadium.
Speaking of changing shirts, Pat Cash is now on his 3rd shirt. Match is now 2 hours old here in the stadium.
Real trouble for Holmes here. Another break point down. He'll be behind 5-1 if he loses this game in the third set, and 2 sets to love.
Tough second serve.
That's good play from Cash, putting the pressure on when it was needed.
5-1.
Cash leads 5-1, will be serving for the match.
You know, it's funny how things change around. It's really, the game becomes so mental towards the end like this, where Holmes early in the match on that backhand passing shot, I'm sure he would have taken it on the two-handed side and just drilled it down the line. Now things have slowly, Cash has slowly worn him down. It was a very defensive passing shot, that last one.
As if to say, I know it's just about gone.
Yeah.
Nobody's quick enough to make that adjustment after it hits the top of the net, coming that hard.
See Cash pick up this last point, get a net court himself. Now Holmes coming across, taking the ball very early. touches the top of the net, over the top of Cash's racket. That's the way to make your passing shots, inside the baseline. That's what McEnroe's doing so well these days, playing inside the baseline, not giving his opponent any chance to breathe.
Amazing hands he has. So quick.
Cash had to play McEnroe in the semis at Wimbledon. They said, well, what are you going to do about McEnroe's serve? He's serving so good. And he said, Cash said, well, I played him at last week at Queen's in doubles. He said, I thought he served like a girl. It was easy.
What did he say after the match?
I guess he serves pretty good. I wasn't in the press conference when Cash said that, but I'm sure he was sort of half joking.
Tongue in cheek.
Of course, they put it in the newspapers like it was a serious quote.
14, 15.
And a match point, double match point.
I'm sure McEnroe took it seriously.
He played like he did, didn't he?
Played the final of Wimbledon like he was mad about something.
21-year-old Greg Holmes. 19-year-old Pat Cash. Should do it. And 2 hours and 4 minutes. 16th seeded Pat Cash eliminates Greg Holmes. Right now, let's go to the studio and Brent Musburger.
All right, Pat, thank you. Pat Cash, very impressive, and he'll play the winner of tonight's match between Tim Mayotte and Mats Wilander. So whoever advances in that one, they will find their hands full against young Pat Cash of Australia. We have a giant killer as far as the women are concerned. Helena Suková has upset 2 of the seeded players at this tournament. She has just ousted the 9th seed, Lisa Bonder, in 3 sets. When Helena lost that first set, it was the first set she had lost at this U.S. Open. And, of course, earlier in her second match, she ousted the 5th seed, Kathy Jordan, in straight sets. So Helena now is starting to show some power at this tournament. And Carleen Bassett of Canada has not yet lost a set. She eliminates Petra Delhaize Yauk of Switzerland, 6-1, 6-1, and she did it in extremely impressive fashion. Carleen, of course, is the daughter of John Bassett, who owns the Tampa Bay Bandits in the United States Football League, and her father was a Davis Cupper up in Canada, and she has impressed one and all. She had a tough summer because